Hello, everyone, and today I'm going to be talking about today's severe risk through the Ohio Valley and the Mid-South here. We're going to be paying more attention to the Ohio Valley, of course, but we do have this enhanced risk from the far northeast corner of Texas all the way up through Nashville, central Tennessee. This is a tornado-driven enhanced risk here, also a hail-driven enhanced risk. As we see, this hail risk really extends through Appalachian Mountains here in West Virginia. The wind risk goes all the way up to Baltimore and Washington in this tornado risk. Also up to Baltimore and Washington, but the more the 5% risk goes all the way up through south of Charleston to Beckley, West Virginia, Pikeville, Kentucky. Um, Gotta be mindful later this afternoon in those areas. But quickly, I do want to talk about the significance of yesterday's event. It was an amazing forecast from the Storm Prediction Center and Royals. It was a very great forecast. I personally um, didn't see it, and I've got to sort of look back and learn from what I didn't see. And also another thing is I thought the tornado risk through Cincinnati, Louisville, Indianapolis, sort of Evansville, sort of this area here yesterday would have been a little bit more heightened, just a little bit more active in that sense, and it was not before the main line came through. It was really not. There was a few cells that tried to work its way up through central Kentucky from southern Kentucky, lost its strength. There was a kind of a lone supercell for the line in Evansville, but nothing that I was expecting. I was expecting several sort of discrete, at least hail makers across that region, but I did not. That did not happen. So the main really it was really from Evansville down south to northern Mississippi and then southeastern Arkansas was where it most of the tornadoes happened, but even some happened in Indiana and up through Ohio. So a very active day yesterday. But today I really want to talk about this risk here and the Ohio Valley. So these are just some surface observations. We can see our main line of convection right here. Uh, Essentially leave central West Virginia and then entering into eastern Kentucky here. Which are 500 millibar winds here, and we see how these evolve throughout the day. Um, yeah, I mean, they're going to be staying relatively the same here throughout the day. In fact, they might even get a little weaker throughout the day. However, something I've noticed is our cape here by by this afternoon, if I can leave it there, by this afternoon, uh, we can see a nice boundary set up here across you know, northwestern Mississippi, across central Tennessee, central Kentucky, up through western West Virginia. Um, we can see the tight gradients or the tight the tight gradient between the Cape lines here, and we can see values if we look in southern West Virginia, that 2,000 there. That's 2,000 joules per kilogram Cape, and we can see even a pocket of 2,500 near the Pikeville region. So uh, this instability will lead to some firing of possible hail and um, a large hail risk and a isolated tornado risk across southern West Virginia, um, southeastern Kentucky. So something very something to watch, something very interesting to watch, for sure. Here's our mixed layer cape. This is another really important sort of product that we look at here. And again, we can see that nose, that you can see the boundaries, same locations of northwestern Mississippi through central Tennessee, uh, uh, upward, and then we can see that kind of nose extend through Charleston, Beckley, 1,000, and we have a little 1,500 swath in the coal fields in Kentucky. So instability wise, we have more than, I think we have way more than enough instability wise. Let's look at possible kinematics here. So this is what the radar could look like. This is the HRR. This is 10 a.m. This is around 1, 2 o'clock, and we can see these sort of elevated, developed cells here. Kind of move northeast. Try to get a sounding here. So our surface to 1 kilometer shear is not entirely impressive. Surface the 3 kilometer is it is definitely able to sustain any sort of rotation. We definitely instability. We definitely have a good little fatter chunk here in our mid levels here. A surface it's not as high. 3 cape is at 61. Um, but kinematically wise, I mean, this doesn't look terrible for definitely for a spin up or two. Especially if those cape values can become um realistic, if they actually come to that sort of strength, we can definitely see some elevated hail risk up through here and tornado risk as well. Take another sounding here just to sort of get a better idea. Again, curvature, it's not as impressive with the winds, 22 knot winds, surface to 1 kilometer. That's not really great at all. Surface to 3 kilometers is slightly better. But instability wise, we could see a nice little fat chunk there, 5 kilometer down to our 2 kilometer range. 3 cape is actually pretty impressive, 94. You like that to be around 100 to generate surface spin vorticity. Um, we have one significant hail, 2-inch hail analog with this. So yeah, that tells me that one to 1.5 inch hail is definitely possible with these storms, and then a quick spin up as well. And as we go throughout the evening, those kind of gradually weaken, and we can see sort of a maybe little sort of bowing segment sort of come through the same regions later tonight, with the damaging wind risk and flooding risk as these storms will train each other. And by Friday morning, we're getting another round of heavy rain and possibly some thunderstorms in the same regions. So, and then as we move on, even Friday evening, Friday afternoon into evening, which I am watching for this area. This area looks pretty. It's had some very nice some previous runs across central West Virginia, central Kentucky, southern Kentucky, northern and western central Tennessee. Very interesting sort of prefrontal because we have our front down through here. Our warm front would more than likely be in around here somewhere. We have our nice sort of warm front convection here. So that's something interesting to be watching. Um, I do want to look at this RRFS model here. This model did a very nice job with yesterday's event. Better than expected. Definitely surprised a lot of people. So I do want to use this to sort of um it is a little heavy on the convection. Like it does, you know, you can kind of see it's a little heavy on the convection, but um, could give us a nice idea. But this as of late this morning, this mall run doesn't really have those sort of cells down south as HFR, but it does have an impressive sort of main line of storms stretching through like Maysville, Kentucky, down south through Pine Bluff, Arkansas. As we move on throughout the day, um, again, some elevated hail risk, some spin ups possible. I do want to look at the do want to look at the surface-based cape through this model here. Um, yeah, and then by the evening afternoon, we could see that little sort of pocket of cape that the HFR was seeing. It is a little further north. It is a little further north, where 2000 to 2200 cape is pushed toward high 64 more. Look at our mixed layer cape here. Yeah, it seems that around 3 to 6 p.m. will be the best time for instability in this region. Um, our mixed layer cape is approaching 1000 to 1200. You kind of want that in the 1500 range or more to be like kind of confident and instability holding its own, if that makes any sense. But still, 1000 is enough to support any sort of development. Let's look at the updraft helicities. This shows a mid-level rotation within the storms. Again, these might be overdone some. Yeah, I would say these are overdone by by quite a bit, but we can see it's highlighted sort of potential area of rotation in these storms. I wouldn't take this. This isn't. I wouldn't take this at all with really much. Even yesterday, after it per doing quite well, I still wouldn't take this too serious. Um, at least this run. But just know that they do have potential to have some spin in them if they get strong enough and elevated enough. Check the NAM 3K here, and I do want to check the just a better view of the 500 millibar maps here. And I think the 500 millibar jet was one of the, I think one of the bigger reasons why the high risk was introduced. I think maybe it was potentially moving in a lot quicker and a lot stronger than forecasted, but I'm not a pro in that. So I'd love to see a sort of uh, research study on that event yesterday. So by 4 o'clock, we can see our 500 millibar winds across our area here. 50, 60 knots, some pockets of 80 knots across the area. We can see sort of we can see indents on our isobars here. Maybe some possible short waves. You know, moving up from the mid south north eastward. We can see some dents in our isobars there. We can see one kind of right through here. One right on the border of West Virginia, Kentucky. Interestingly, we can see if this plays any role in additional forcing for these storms. Um, may not. It just really depends on the surface observations. But um, decent pocket of 500 millibar winds. Nothing too crazy. From the NAM here, let's look at what the NAM radar could see. Here's the NAM by 5 o'clock. It's actually showing some discrete activity. Excuse me. Um, far eastern Kentucky, central West Virginia, even parts of far western Virginia, central Kentucky as well. Some discrete activity. Again, nothing crazy. Maybe some um, increased hail risk. It's very interesting. Take a sounding here. Uh, the NAM is definitely a lot more bullish on the shear here, our surface to 1 kilometer. 35, 35 knots. Our surface to 352. Certainly a lot better. Nothing amazing still, um, kinematically, but definitely a lot better. That'll allow for a lot more forcing on the kinematic side. Here's our cape. Approaching 1,000 surface cape, 1,100 mixed layer. Our 3 cape 80 is okay. Nothing too crazy. We do have some sin according to the NAM, some additional forcing that will need to take place, but with the increased kinematics, um, and without not that much sin, um, storms may not have much of an issue to sort of fire if there is enough instability that is advected in, and if those um, maybe the shortwave forcing and the kinematic forcing can really elevate the storms. And I'm just going to go on throughout the model run here, and this is Friday evening, Friday night. Again, some possible more discrete activity. I'll be watching for Friday evening, Friday night. Nothing looks serious at the moment, and our main next severe event for the same areas, Friday through Saturday morning. So I do want to look at possible rainfall totals here, just real quick. Here's the HRRR model here. I'm just gonna bring it down through just the end of the run, and we can see the significance of the rain in the next 3 days that it could bring across the area. This is additional rainfall. This isn't including what we've seen yesterday in some of these places. Memphis saw several inches of rain. Indianapolis, Evansville, Paducah, Cincinnati, several inches of rain. Louisville, several inches of rain. We could still additionally see another 2 to 5 inches across most of this region. Pockets of central Kentucky, um, according to this NAM model, could see 5 plus inches, 5 to 7 inches. Again, another pocket in Arkansas with pockets of 10 inches of rain. But again, really looking at this, we can just see the potential of significant rainfall from really central Indiana, central Ohio down south to southern West Virginia, southern Kentucky, central Tennessee, kind of arcing like a backwards C, or not, kind of a normal C, excuse me, into Arkansas and Oklahoma, uh, eastern Oklahoma. Check the NAM real quick. We'll compare contrast just to see where maybe the axis of the heaviest rains will set up. Here's the NAM. It's certainly a lot more north with the extent of heavier rains, including Cincinnati, Bloomington, even St. Louis, Little Rock as well. I mean, Little Rock absolutely, according to this ball run, getting 8 to 10 inches of rain. But again, we can see streaks of 1 to 3 inches, maybe 2 to 4 inches across the Ohio Valley region, West Virginia, southern Ohio seems to be probably where the most of the rain, heavier rain, will fall. I do want to see. Let's see. I do want to see Fridays or Saturdays. Okay, so this right here is Friday's outlook. Just gonna go over it real quick. As you can see, it doesn't have that marginal even into our area where I was talking about those um, possible discrete cells with an isolated hail threat and tornado threat at all, really. But we can see that enhanced risk again setting up in the Little Rock, central northern regions of Arkansas, and then far eastern Oklahoma, and then northeastern Texas. Again, tornado threat, tornado driven, and hail driven. Um, this area will not be catching a break in the next 48 to 72 hours, unfortunately. So, gotta keep an eye on that. But really, the main threats for the Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia region is just watch out for flooding rains. Turn around, don't drown if you see water on the roadways. Later today, especially in the southern coal fields through Beckley, um, maybe reaching I-64, we could see an elevated severe risk. We can kind of see those cells right there. Elevated severe risk, nothing crazy, but just be weather aware today. But until then, I will talk to you guys later and be safe.